I only want the best for you. It is arguably the most common phrase heard in families. It is a phrase that comes from the heart, seemingly filled with benevolence. Yet, for many children, it marks the beginning of an invisible ordeal. It is not a promise. It is an injunction. It is not support. It is an immense weight placed on shoulders far too frail. Welcome to this fourth and final topic of our first palace. Today, we are going to break one of the deepest taboos in education, parental ambition. We will discover how, by wanting our children to succeed, we sometimes end up assassinating their identity. We will see how love, when it becomes conditioned by results, transforms into a golden prison from which one never truly escapes. What follows is of rare intensity. We will dive into the psychology of proxy narcissism and explore the ravages of a life lived solely to please others. I promise you, after this video, you will never look at your child's achievements the same way again. We are bringing the heavy artillery because this is about liberating destinies. If you don't want to miss any part of this educational revolution, subscribe to the channel now. Ring the bell. Join this community of parents who choose awareness over performance. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt like you were living the life your parents chose for you? Your testimony might be the first step toward your own liberation. Hold on tight. We are going to understand why it is urgent to mourn the imaginary child to finally love the real one. Part 1. The narcissistic transfer. The tragedy of the gifted child. The first trap of parental ambition is the most unconscious and insidious. Narcissistic transfer. To understand what happens in homes where success is a religion, we must immerse ourselves in the thoughts of psychoanalyst Alice Miller, particularly in her seminal work, The Drama of the Gifted Child. Miller describes a silent tragedy. The child, equipped with an ultra-sensitive emotional antenna, picks up on the unfulfilled needs of their parents and conforms to them to survive. The parent, often wounded by their own failures, uses the child as a narcissistic prosthesis. The child is no longer loved for who they are, but for what they repair. The broken mirror. Heinz Kohut's theory. Psychiatrist Heinz Kohut, the father of self-psychology, explains that a child has a vital need for mirroring. To build a solid I, the child must see a reflection of their own essence, their spontaneous joys and disordered impulses, in their parents' eyes. But in the ambitious family, the mirror is rigged. The parent reflects back not the child's deep nature, but the image of what they should be to be worthy of love. The alienation of the true self, according to Winnicott. We must invoke Winnicott and his fundamental concept of the false self. In an environment where parental expectation is overwhelming, the child develops a facade. They become a social chameleon, brilliant, polite, high-performing. Behind this storefront, the true self suffocates. Scientifically, this is a form of emotional anesthesia. The child's brain disconnects reward circuits linked to personal pleasure to maintain only those linked to social validation. Part 2. Permanent calibration. The tyranny of the KPI. Permanent calibration is the silent engine of modern anxiety. For the ambitious parent, the child is no longer a mystery to discover. They are data to optimize. We no longer look at the child. We look at their growth curve and their ranking. The child becomes a statistic. The Human Performance Indicator, KPI, sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, in his work on liquid modernity, explains that anything that cannot be measured is considered worthless. The calibrating parent applies this accounting logic to family intimacy. Hobbies must be productive. Competitive sports, music theory. Vacations must be cultural or linguistic. Rest, seen as a waste of time, a drop-off from the expected success curve. The child becomes a key performance indicator, KPI, for the household. If their performance dips, the entire family ecosystem enters a crisis. Neurological impact, the dominant survival mode. Scientifically, this constant calibration keeps the child's nervous system in a state of hyperactive vigilance. The brain perceives the environment as hostile. The limbic system, particularly the amygdala, saturates the body with cortisol and adrenaline. The brain enters survival mode. In this state, the higher functions of the prefrontal cortex, creativity, ethics, deep reflection, are put on standby in favor of rapid adaptation reflexes. We sacrifice creative intelligence on the altar of anxious vigilance. Part 3. The wasteland of success. Adulthood under pressure. When parental ambition wins the battle of education, it often loses the war of life. The child who survived permanent calibration enters adulthood with a psychic structure Alice Miller called a cemetery of the soul. The impostor syndrome and ontological burnout. By age 30 or 40, these adults often hit an invisible wall, a crisis of meaning. Even at the peak of their career, they feel like frauds. Why? Because they know, deep down, that it wasn't them who succeeded, but the character they created to please their parents. This leads to ontological burnout. The will is exhausted because it is no longer fueled by desire. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl explained that a human can endure any how if they have a why. The child of ambition lived for the how. When the why is empty, the system collapses. Part 4. The parenting of authorization. The path to liberation. Exiting the cycle of toxic ambition requires an internal revolution. It is about moving from an authority of constraint to an authority of support. 1. Mourning the imaginary child. To love the real child, you must kill the one you dreamed of, the one who would fix your failures. Accept that they might be mediocre in areas you hold dear. 2. Valuing effort over results. Following Carol Dweck's growth mindset, stop complimenting innate talent, "You're so smart." Instead, praise the process, perseverance, and strategy. This disconnects love from the final score. 3. The right to drift. Rehabilitate dead time. Idle time and contemplation are where true freedom is born. Allow your child to waste time in non-productive activities. 4. Disidentification. Separate your own value from your child's success. If they fail, you aren't a bad parent. If they succeed, you aren't a genius. Give them the gift of a healthy solitude where they can belong to themselves. Final conclusion. The coronation of the real child. Parental ambition, when excessive, is love that has lost its way. True success for a parent is not found in prestigious degrees or social status. It is found in the clarity of the child's gaze, the solidity of their self-esteem, and their ability to say "I" without trembling. Tonight, when you see your child, do not seek to evaluate their results. Look at them simply for who they are, here and now. Tell them, through a benevolent silence or a sincere word, "You have nothing to prove to deserve my pride. Your existence is enough for my joy." In this total release of pressure, the child finally finds the courage to become themselves. By giving them back their freedom, you also free yourself from the burden of having to succeed through them. Thank you for following this deep analysis. Subscribe and share to help other families break the chains of performance. Tell me in the comments, what is the dream you have decided to let go of to let your child breathe? Take care of their soul before taking care of their career. And above all, stay connected.